I've put together a house record here to demonstrate some of the new features in Studio One 4. So the first thing I wanted to start off with was the pattern editor. So what happens here is you go to the top of the screen here, and where it says insert pattern, if I select an area over here, for example, you go to the top of the screen, go to event, and you go insert pattern, and it creates a box like this. When you double click on the box, it loads up a pattern editor, which I'll demonstrate in a second. This particular channel already has the Impact XT with a drum kit I made up of some house drums. So let's jump straight into that. So I wanted the song to start off fairly simply with a kick and snare and hat pattern. So let me loop it around this first section. And as you can see here in this pattern, you've got your kicks happening here, usual stuff, clip, your claps, your closed hat, and to put them on and off, you literally have a drawing tool and a rubber, and you just move them around. You can also change the swing of the pattern. So at the moment, everything's on a straight groove, but I'll come to that. You also have the ability here on each of the different instruments to change how long the bar is. So for example, on the kick, I don't need it to be going around 16. I can just get it going around 4, and it'll still play the kick and loop around every 4, as you can see on the demonstration here. So you can cut that down, and you can also change the time signature on each of these, so that's quite handy, and it just comes out very well laid out. Some more in-depth features I'm about to get to, so let's move on. So that was the starting drums for the song, and then we move into the next section. So for this, I wanted another variation of the drum loop. So if I solo that again, you can see down the side here I've got variation. So the beginning variation, if I click on that, was variation 1. Then I've got variation 3 playing here, and you just hit this tab here and it will create another variation which you can then change. If I didn't want this section to play that, I could choose variation 2 and it'll play that instead. As it happens, I actually don't want it to be doing all of that at the same time straight away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another section here. So I'm going to go up here, drag and drop this. So we've created another section. And for the first half, I need a new pattern. So I'm going to take this pattern here and make a copy of it. So that'll be pattern 6. And I'm going to get rid of all of the low tom notes. So it starts like this. And I want that pattern to repeat for 8 bars. So I'm going to just copy that. That's one too many. Okay, and then we can play that from there. Unsolo it so it comes in with the bass line.
House music.
That's better. So that'll build like that. Another really great feature that I really like in this part of the update is the ability to roll your notes, which is great for trap and tech house and loads of other things actually. So for example, in this part of the loop here that comes in, I've got on the hats, I'll solo them, I've just got it doing straight 16ths, but I've put in a roll here, which is just down here, repeat. So you can choose any place you want to, and just create like really quick and interesting loops. You know, with the whole repeat thing, if I wanted to do the same as I'm doing with the clav, for example, I could add those in, and then do a repeat note there. Then let's just turn that down a fraction. Okay, and then we'll add in another roll there. And it's very, very quick to get some great little loops together, but let's take that off for the second. Okay, so moving on, we've got, I brought in another piece of percussion here to go with the bass line. And then what I've done also is on the percussion, so it just, you know, on the hats, so they don't just sound too linear, you can go to velocity here and then you can just adjust some of the levels of the notes. So everything's very contained and very quick to get a beat together. So moving on, let's talk a bit about impact. If I create a new channel with impact on, this is how it looks now. And like with that last part and pattern that I was showing you in impact, I put the drums together very quickly. So if I just go to a folder that I have full of different types of 909 snares, if I hold shift pad starting at C1, it immediately spans them across the pads. And then if I switch, and then I have them all ready to use, and then you do the previous process that I showed you before. You get up your pattern editor, and then you can just very quickly put a loop together. The other thing that Impact now does that is really clever is taking a drum loop. So I believe I've got a drum loop in here. So, and it's so I can take this drum loop from my session or from a folder outside, and again, if I shift and drag that on, it will immediately chop it up into all the various components of that loop for me to use. And then if you go into pad focus, you can then sort of drill down a bit, make sure, you know, the pattern length is right, shorten it, and then, you know, obviously very quickly reverse it or whatever. And then by going over here to the trigger, if you go to normal, then it just gives you a normal amp envelope, which you can then take each part and manipulate it some more to get it exactly how you need it. So as an example of this, I had this loop, which is great, but I didn't want to use the whole loop, so I literally just wanted to use sections of it. So I just chopped it to do that. So in this, so very quick, change the loops up and make it your own is brilliant. So another thing I'd like to talk about quickly is sample one. Sample one is very quick and easy to just take, you know, something and make it into something different. So I had this vocal loop that I have here. I don't want to use the whole thing, I just want to take a bit of it. So drag it into sample one. Let's record and enable that channel then. Mute the original vocal. And then you can, you know, you can choose just maybe a little section. And then you can go over here, you can put the glide on so it glides between notes. Then you've got very quickly add in a bit of delay. And then you just, obviously I would simply just quantize that to the groove of the song. And here's one that, yeah. And there's one I made earlier with using the same thing but doing it in Impact XT. So same thing again. If you don't want to just play one thing but you want to have the whole of the vocal spread across the keyboard, then use Impact XT like I did, and then you know I created out of that vocal loop.
House music.
Predominantly, most of the parts on this are all made up of different things that I've chopped up. I took this pad, which is I found on Splice yesterday. It's a Mark Knight pad. Thanks, Mark, for that, mate. And yeah, just took that, put it into the song, but just wanted to edit it again slightly. So I then put that pad into sample 1, so I could just do little turnarounds using on the note like that. So yeah. And same thing again with chopped drum loop. Took a sound and then I just chopped it up into Impact across the keyboards, and then just used the parts I wanted to. And actually, you can see here I've used the editor, but what I've done, and this is the new feature on Studio One 4, is I've moved the editor to drum mode. So rather than being in keyboard mode, it's in drum editing mode, and then you just move your or delete or move or your different points to get them exactly how you want them to be. And so if I select this tool, I can get that up. So I could move that. Add that in. And yeah, you can create really fantastic grooves, change obviously the velocity of them, but it all adheres to the quantize you have set at the top. One thing I didn't touch on that I should probably just very quickly touch on is in the pattern mode, you can set the groove of the quantize and the swing up here, which really gives you nice shuffled grooves and great swing to your music.